Yo guys, welcome back to the Blue Podcast with me, Tom, and Ben. How you doing, mate?
Good, thanks.
And as you can see, we've got a certain someone in the top right-hand corner pouring a Coke. How you doing, Josh?
Pissed off, angry, fucking hate football.
Well, there's your answer to how's Josh feeling. Pretty similar here as well. We're recording this Wednesday evening. It's currently 10 to 11 at night.
Wednesday evening? More like fucking morning time.
Yeah, but I mean, we normally go to bed later than this anyway, Josh. You know, we don't have jobs.
I do.
Well, before we get into the interesting stuff of this podcast, make sure you do go subscribe to the Blue Podcast if you are new around here. Greatly appreciated. Obviously, oh no, I didn't have to sing a Christmas song because we didn't hit 900 subs on Christmas Day. What a shame. But we'd still love to hit 900 subs
Didn't see that
ASAP. Still love to do that. If anyone watching has any ideas of what they'd want me to do, if we hit 900 subs at 1K by a specific deadline, then leave them in the comments below. Make sure you like the video if you do enjoy it, because obviously it's going to get a bit... Me and Josh aren't going to be happy during this. Let's put it very simply. And do check out our other socials at The Blue Podcast 1 on Instagram and Twitter, at The Blue Podcast on TikTok. That's the rest of our socials. It's a one-horse race now, isn't it?
Just give over. Like this, there's this sensationalist bollocks that's coming out. Like, oh, it's City's title to lose. Blah blah blah. Put it this way: Liverpool, if they win their game in hand, are 6 points behind. We lose one, they win one. 3 points in it. That's not title over. Like, I can't be arsed with this chatting bollocks. Like,
All right, well, let's rephrase the question then. Is it over for Chelsea? With the fixtures we've got coming up.
The best way to answer this is that we play Liverpool on the 2nd of January at home, and then we have the FA Cup, and we play Manchester. I'm assuming it's at the Etihad, isn't it, against City?
We've got 3 games against Spurs in January.
Yeah. Two of them are in the Carabao Cup, so that's irrelevant.
You're not out of it yet, but that next month will be key for you.
If we beat Liverpool and City, we're in it. If we lose one of them, we'll City or Liverpool to draw points. If we lose both of them, we're out of it. Those 2 games are the death. If we win those 2 games, we're back in it. But without a shadow of a doubt, we're back in it, because I do think City will draw points between then and the end of the season. It's up to Chelsea how consistent they are. If we beat Man City but lose to Liverpool, I think we're in it. But if we lose both, even if we draw both of them, I think we're out of it.
Yeah, it's gonna be very, very tough. It's kind of almost I heard the commentators say that the Sunday game was big. Us drawing has made it even bigger. Realistically, the Sunday game was massive no matter what, in terms of both of them need the win to keep up with Manchester City. Realistically, and then obviously we have City after the FA Cup against someone not very good.
Chesterfield, non-league team.
Chesterfield. Oh, sweet. So we should be all right. Did you guys watch the Liverpool game yesterday?
I did, yeah.
The only perk we can take from it, I guess, for all 3 of us, is that Liverpool weren't great, and all that's going to happen come January is Salah and Mane should be off, which is very good for us.
Liverpool, in that match, they had the chances, just couldn't finish. It was one of those games that, I mean, what was it? Leicester had 1 shot on target, so that that City and Chelsea are both well aware of what that sort of game is like. So I wouldn't say. I mean, obviously they weren't that like great, but I wouldn't say they were playing like absolutely dreadful, awful.
No. On that, I want to say it like. I would say that all 3 teams today weren't at their best. Definitely not, which I think obviously is an accumulation of all the fixtures that all of us are in. If anything, Liverpool and Chelsea have been in more because of the Carabao Cup, but still, like,
that's your fault. That's your fault. Nothing to do with us. We know the Carabao Cup tricks,
Yeah, but it's your competition, mate.
Yeah, we'll see.
But you have to agree that all three teams over the last 2 days haven't performed at their best. And the difference, I feel, is City didn't perform at their best. I mean, with your goal, Brentford should have scored on the other end. Somehow they didn't. I'm unsure how. And then you go and score.
Yeah.
And the difference is you win your game. Chelsea and Liverpool drop points.
Yeah,
when playing badly.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're in a good on a good run at the moment, but it swings and roundabouts. Like today, they nearly scored. They didn't. Then we went and scored. Another day they could have scored and we wouldn't have scored. Like it's swing, and that'll be the same for Chelsea, like in Liverpool. So Chelsea today, you 1-0 up and then they equalise. Another day they don't. So it's like Josh was saying, like City, every team will drop points from now until the end of the season. All three of them will. It's just who's, like you say, who's more consistent, who can get that consistency. And obviously at the moment it's City, but like in a couple of months' time it might be Liverpool, or a couple of months' time it might be Chelsea. Like you just don't know. So yeah,
that's fair enough. I've got a couple of points on the Chelsea game that's just happened. Not particularly pleased with some of the decisions, but then again, like Brighton did play very well. Maybe deserved a point from it. And the things I'm going to say now are kind of clutching at straws a little bit. I don't know what you think about this, Josh. Was it a penalty on Pulisic?
Oh yeah, 100% a penalty. VAR didn't even look at it. Mike Dean, classic ball, fucking shite ref. It's generally one of the worst refs in the league. I don't know how he missed it. VAR didn't even check it. It was a clear penalty. I don't see how it was not a penalty. It ticks all the boxes for a penalty, and how VAR didn't even look at it. Like Tuchel said it after. Tuchel said it was a joke. Is it honestly a joke?
There were some really bad decisions.
The consistency in the Premier League, VAR over refereeing, what is the penalty, what isn't the penalty, and what's given as a red card, what's given as offsides. There's no consistency in officiating in the Premier League, and the VAR only adds to the problem, because some things get checked on VAR, and then the most blatantly things don't get checked, and these clear and obvious errors are not being overturned or not being recorrected, and there's sometimes VAR has came in useful, and I'll give it juice where it goes right. But in cases like today, for example, how has VAR not looked at that decision and changed it? And it's been loads of other times too. Not just with Chelsea in the Premier League in general, where you look at something, you know that's a clear red card, or it's not, or it's a really tight offside, and you shouldn't be judging it off that. I'm getting fed up of all of these inconsistencies, and it should have been a penalty. It doesn't justify maybe the overall performance. Though the performance goes deeper than what there's more to it than what meets the eye, but it was a penalty all day long.
And just Poyet after the game, because the ball was behind him, that's possibly why they didn't check it. But I mean, yeah, the Brighton player kicks him. There's not a lot else. I don't know what else can be a penalty. If the Brighton player kicks Pulisic, he's running into the box.
I've not seen it.
Let me
watch it. Let me watch it.
Okay. Whilst Ben looks up, moving on. Speaking of, I guess, poor refereeing decision in VA and kind of, I don't know about this. I don't know if I'm clutching at straws here because I didn't do a replay, but a good referee, right? So Mount tackles a player, wins the ball in the process, by the way, does win the ball, puts the ball in the back of the net, but the ref blows the whistle before the ball's gone in the net. At that moment, obviously I don't know, I'm just asking a question. At that moment, that means VAR cannot get involved.
Yeah, protocol, he shouldn't. I mean, whether it's a foul or not, protocol is that he shouldn't blow the whistle.
Yeah.
So that is wrong.
I was sat there. My dad's currently got COVID, so I've got him on a little WhatsApp call whilst watching the game on my laptop.
Right.
And we're both just there like, why is the ref blowing the whistle before the ball's in the back of the net? And it's on Josh's point, no consistency.
Two words, Mike Ding.
Yeah.
Simple. That's it. He loves being the center of attention.
Yeah. That baffled me. Absolutely baffled me. I don't know if you remember that, Josh?
Yep. I don't think it was. I don't think it was a foul. I think Mason Mount won the ball fair.
He won the ball. I thought he won the ball. Obviously, there was no replay because guess what? After that happened, they went straight out the other end of the pitch and bloody scored. But anyway, we move on to the next point. Basuma shouldn't have been on the pitch. Basuma should have been on the pitch. He stamped on Pulisic for a second yellow. Simple as. Right in front of Mike Dean as well. Right in front of him. Stamps on him. Pulisic's clearly in pain because he gets stamped on. And it's obviously not a second yellow. And that's, again, just before their goal. So, I mean, there are a few things here and there where I wouldn't say the overall performance warranted.
Abramovich's direct debit mustn't have come through this month or something. Abramovich's direct debit mustn't have come through that.
Yeah, maybe he didn't give his. Maybe he didn't threaten his family enough. Maybe that's
no, it didn't. The subs didn't come through that month.
That's a shame. That's a shame. But yeah, Basuma shouldn't have been on the pitch again just before the goal. Again, would have definitely affected the game. But and then this is kind of again Mike Dean, who, as you said, wants to be a centre of attention. Josh blows the whistle at 4 minutes at a time when there was a minute and a half of a goal during added time celebrated, and before even like kickoff happened again after the goal, which is again. I don't understand if he played to like 95. I'd understand that. But to hit it straight on 94 when a goal's scored in the 90th minute in added time and to not add any time on as we're breaking towards the box.
I do agree with that, but I don't think the attack was anything substantial. I don't think anything.
No, I'm not. It's just for me. It's just an accumulation of those four things that I've said, which is just clearly. Even if I know those four things, a few of them are big. Like the goal that was Mason Mount possibly could have scored, Basuma red, and then the Pulisic penalty. But it's just an accumulation of those things. It's just
it's not on really, the highlights. So.
No, it wasn't even replayed. The Mason Mount thing wasn't replayed. Pulisic one was. The Basuma second yellow wasn't replayed. Well, it was replayed, and clearly he stamped on him. But I don't know. I don't know if you can tell I'm not happy. Lukaku was good though. He got man of the match. Yay!
I think Lukaku, when he came, the thing about Lukaku is he shouldn't be playing 90. He's not fully. This is where the whole big picture of Chelsea's performance comes in, because Kovacic isn't match fit. He's barely trained and he's been out with an injury for ages and had COVID. Jorginho's been overplayed because of the injuries to other people.
Lukaku also has a back injury.
Robbie Lukaku has been out for a few months with an injury and also had COVID, and he's been asked to play 90 minutes. N'Golo Kante has a knee problem but has to play because of injuries to other people. And just Christensen had a back problem but had to play today, which made him forced to go off. Reece James is also now got a hamstring issue. I've literally just named 7 players.
Thiago Silva's out with an injury. Loftus-Cheek's out with an injury. Werner's out with an injury. Havertz is coming back from COVID and an injury.
Werner has long issues with COVID. That's why he's
COVID. Havertz is coming back from injury.
Oh, and COVID. So the list goes on. And the really annoying thing here is that Chelsea, with a fair-bit squad of half-fit players, were forced to play against Wolves. But you look at players like Newcastle and Everton who have similar issues, similar COVID case issues and injury issues. Their games have been postponed. So while, the likes of Brighton have had 2 games postponed, they've been able to freshen up, get break. Chelsea are having to play every 3 days. Not only are you having to play every 3 days, or every 4 or 48 hours in this case, Thomas Tuchel is also having to play injured players who are not fully fit to field the team, which is having repercussions because now that's 2 extra injuries added to the list. So, I've been saying this for a while now. The Premier League doesn't have much integrity anymore. It's the same with Liverpool. Liverpool have all these players missing, and it showed against Leicester. It showed against Leicester yesterday. Second half, Liverpool were dead on their feet, which isn't something you see from a Liverpool side. And Liverpool didn't play, on Boxing Day. Though Leicester looked like the fresher team, if you understand me. So. And Leicester literally played against Man City. They had 48 hours before Liverpool, but yet Liverpool looked like the team that were more tired because of the COVID issues. The Premier League has lost its integrity. There's so many games that have to be rearranged. you've got certain teams that are getting more breaks than others. Like Manchester United, even though it didn't look like it against Newcastle, had a far bigger break against Newcastle. Everton are now having an extended break. Like all of these things coming into the new year is going to make a difference. And you see with Chelsea, but Chelsea were dead on their feet that whole 45 minutes. They weren't shuffling around. They weren't disorganized. They were so sloppy on the ball. And at the end there, Danny Welbeck literally had, the actual, like, the shape was fine. It was two defenders, but the defenders were just so tired mentally and physically that Danny Welbeck was fresher and got up for the ball compared to the two Chelsea centre-backs, and that's what cost him the goal. And it's just, where's the integrity of the Premier League? Where's the consistency? Is it fair that Chelsea are having to play all of these games with half-fit players who have had COVID? But like the likes of Newcastle and Everton have had their games postponed with fewer COVID cases and the same amount of injuries. I just don't understand it.
I think it's 10 to 11 players out or coming back from injury or COVID.
Yeah.
Which is 11 starting players. It's mental.
I literally named 7 players who played today. It was off the bench or who started, who all have either had COVID or long-term injuries, but Thomas Tuchel is having no choice but to play them because he has no one else. What more can Thomas Tuchel do?
I'm telling you, Abramovich's direct debit didn't come through. I'm telling you, that's what's happened.
Tuchel came out today and he said it right. He said, I'm having to play my players here in this stage. There's nothing else I can do. I'm trying to protect them, but I have no choice but to play them in this case. And he doesn't even have the 5 subs to try and, get more players out and in to split it. He had to use 2 subs in the first half because of injury, and then he was forced to play, and he was forced to play Kovacic in the second half and Lukaku when he didn't want to, because they were only fit to play 60 minutes and had to play 30 minutes extra both. Which, what repercussions will that have for Liverpool? Will they be fit enough to start for Liverpool? Could they have done something to their muscle? Anything's possible. That's what I'm running out of words. I'm just pissed off of all of it. Yes, we were not good enough, but I don't blame the players. The players are wrecked. They're not physically or mentally fit to play Premier League games at the moment, and at that intensity. Brighton, credit to them, they did what they had to do, and they put the pressure on us, which is what they had to do. They can only do what's in front of them. That's fair enough. But from Chelsea's point of view, what can Thomas Tuchel do? He's asking his boys to run through rings, run through rags, and they physically and mentally can't do it. Yeah. And it's fucking awful. At least they get some sort of break. They get a 3-day break before they play Liverpool. At least Liverpool are, even though they'll have the extra 24 hours, they're in a similar sort of but in terms of certain players who've been missing. Not the same extent as us, but they do have it. And I honestly wouldn't be surprised if we lose to Liverpool again for the same reasons, because the Chelsea team generally it looks like it's the end of the season where they've played all of these games, they're dead on their feet, and there's no break coming up for them. Tuchel will have to rest most of them in the FA Cup game the following week. He'll rest as many as he possibly can. It's the only thing he can do. But the fact we've been able to play all of these games, we're literally one out of us, and I think it's Man City, the only clubs not to have games postponed this year. City are okay because their injury situation isn't too bad, and they haven't actually had. I don't think
their injury situation's nothing.
I think they've had.
I can elaborate more on that.
I think they've had very, very little COVID issues, if any. So they've not suffered.
I've been thinking about that. Like, why have City had no COVID issues? And the only thing I can think of is we carried on testing or something when everyone else didn't, or something. Like there's like I can't see how they've just not been affected by it, because everyone seems to have been, but because I can't think of a reason. And then the other thing is obviously the injuries. Like we've not had many, and so far we've done a Liverpool a couple of seasons ago. We've been ridiculously lucky, and no one's been injured, or hardly anyone anyway. I want
to hear your thoughts, Tom. Are you in the same boat with me? Do you just feel for when you look at the actual game, the first 20 minutes today, Chelsea were playing perfectly fine. The football was good, the system was working, the defensive shape was fine. I don't see. Yes, there's a certain situation we're not creating enough chances of scoring goals. Like, why the hell did Conor Hudson-Odoi not shoot when he went 1-on-1? Why did he have that pass? It was a clear shot all day long. Even squaring the ball wasn't on. But you have to surely agree. Thomas Tuchel, what more can he do? The players are running on their legs.
Like I think that was kind of what makes that draw so frustrating, if that makes sense, is that it's like everything's against us. Like we've got 11 players out or coming back from injury or coming back from COVID at minimum, all starters or possible starters. We're getting no break, even when we clearly needed it. I mean, when we had a bench of Kovacic coming back from injury, Ross Barkley, Saul, and Sarr with 2 keepers, and they said that's fine, which is outrageous.
That Wolves game should not have gone ahead. Everton and Newcastle have had their games postponed for injuries, which we had injuries at the time, and COVID cases, which we had at the time, that we were forced to play that game. So where's the consistency between Newcastle and Everton getting their games called off? But Chelsea were more severe than what Newcastle and Everton are at the moment. Yet Chelsea had to play that game. Also had to travel to Wolves in the same coach when there was a COVID outbreak happening. Where's the consistency? Why were Chelsea treated differently?
I don't know. And also, did you see he was in the gantry for that game? After he had a post-match interview post-match conversation with the pundits after the game, and he said he didn't feel sorry for Chelsea because it's the Premier League. It's just how it is over here. No five subs. Just got to live with it. You've got a massive squad compared to other teams like Newcastle who are being affected as well. But I don't know. I just feel like Chelsea. I don't know if I'm being biased.
Well, there will be a bit of that in there, but
yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why I said that before. There is a bit of bias probably, but I feel like we're getting stiff left, right, and centre, and that's why I got so annoyed about these refereeing decisions and VAR decisions in the game today. When I already know coming into this, we've got so much wrong behind the scenes, which is not our fault. And then when we come on the pitch, things are going against us, which again aren't our fault, and not necessarily Brighton's fault or another Premier League club's fault. Like when we played Wolves, etc., it's not their fault. It's completely out of our control, basically.
Yeah. No, what I was saying is like obviously I was going to move on to that. Obviously, there is a bit of bias there, but like these are valid concerns and valid points. And I can't remember which pundit you were saying, but he's coming from like the classic old style player mentality. It was like
he was an old. I'm gonna look it up. Keep going.
But yeah, old style player mentality is like, whatever's for it, you just get on with it. You just, any problems, you just work through it. You just do it. You know what I mean? Like he's a bit like Keane. He's like, this is Premier League. Like you have to deal with these things. Like, if you're a top team, you should be able to deal with it. Like that's that sort of mentality. That's where he's coming from, isn't it? Which I mean, obviously you need a bit of that, but there's sometimes like it doesn't mean that they're not like on the setting. On the other hand, like these are valid concerns and points, like, but I don't know what the answer is really.
Yeah, we're not happy. I mean, whilst I look this up, Ben, do you want to give us a little rundown of the City game from your point of view?
Yeah, I mean, I was saying to people it'll be a more difficult game than people think, as it proved. Because it's just that again, it's the classic promoted team against a top team, crowds up for it, players are therefore up for it, blah 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 blah, and then obviously, like I say, swings and roundabouts, they nearly score, then we go up and score, and then it was kind of it felt like we were in control, but obviously at 1-0 there's still that chance and possibility of them getting an equaliser. And then Laporte.
I think it was Andy Townsend. Sorry to cut you off.
Andy Townsend, right?
Yeah, I think it was Andy Townsend.
He's coming from that old style, point of view, old player.
Was it McNamara house? I need to look at their face. Look at his face.
But the Laporte had that header, it was disallowed, and then we kind of saw the game out from there with good, decent game management, good game management. So yeah, I think De Bruyne hit the post as well, but yeah, it's a good win. Yeah.
You're happy with it? You're happy? Obviously, now Liverpool, Chelsea drop points, and
obviously that's fantastic. But
Yeah, it was Andy Townsend.
It's by no means over. It's just a long way to go. Long.
Yeah, and that's the only positive I guess we can really take from this as from a Chelsea standpoint is at the same time I'd rather the Liverpool v City games were in 2-3 weeks time, massively. That would massively impact on our preparation for, I think.
City's in 2 weeks time, but
like the Liverpool games on Sunday.
Yeah.
So it's
Liverpool,
as you say, hopefully it will swing around, and Lukaku's looking good. So
will Salah and Mane have gone?
No, that Salah, Mane, and Mendy. That's their final games before they go.
Okay.
Oh, we could have done with that. Really could have done with that.
Oh, are you sure? Because that would have been Kepa would have been in goals.
Yeah, but think about it. If Kepa's in goal and there's no Mane and Salah shooting at him.
It's just let's think about this. As we're quite on Alonso against Salah and Mane.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we covered is the Taurus over. Ben doesn't think so, and I agree with Josh with if we don't get, I'd say at least 4 points out of the next 2 games, especially a win against City, then we're pretty much done. I do agree with that. But there is a little spanner in the works that could occur on Saturday with Arsenal versus City. With Arsenal in, personally, I think very, very fine form of late. I think could be an even tougher test than Brentford.
It'll be a very, very difficult game in their current form. I still like to think we'll win, but that is a tough test.
You'd think on form right now, it could be a very, very tough game for you. But having known City in the past against Arsenal, they often screw them.
Arteta's out with COVID.
Yeah.
Arteta's
not going to be there.
Arteta's out with COVID.
Oh, that's not good. I feel like as long as Aubameyang doesn't play, they have a very good chance, personally.
Yeah.
Personally. I don't know how you feel, Ben, for the game.
Sorry?
Don't know how you feel about the game.
Yeah, like you say, it's going to be a difficult game. In their current form, like it'll be difficult. Like again, that's the team will win. Like, but I think it'll be a more difficult test than other recent games against Arsenal, because they seem to have found a balance and a 11, and a way of playing that's working, and getting results, and they seem to be clicking a little bit. I think Aubameyang going has sort of helps them, because I think he was sort of the last link between now and that sort of late Wenger, post Wenger era that was a bit all over the shop, and like they wanted to do something new now, and him not being there, I think is working, because it's now it's fresh. You know what I mean? But like,
yeah, and they've been massively blessed with the fact that the 4 players of Saka, Odegaard, Smith Rowe, and Martinelli are just in form.
Yeah.
Like, all 4 of them are in form right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, you could think the experience of Pep Guardiola's City.
Yeah. I mean,
you should win. Personally, I think you should win.
But yeah,
it's a very hard one to call. I think there could be a lot of variations on the Twitter predictions. Speaking of, do check out our Twitter for Twitter predictions and polls. We're doing polls on the Twitter and our Instagram stories for a future podcast me and Ben might do, where we're going to go through what you guys think, basically, putting it very simply. So do check that out at the Big Podcast One on Twitter. And speaking of predictions, no one got one tonight, or yesterday. No, I don't think anyone got one yesterday. But I'm still 3 points clear. So, it is what it is. It is what it is.
He's got to buy himself the merch. You know,
I've already bought myself some merch.
You got to buy yourself the merch as the reward.
I bought myself some merch in preparation anyway. I'm sure you'll see it soon. I'll be sipping at it during a podcast soon, I'm sure. Very, very sure of that. But I mean, yeah, actually, with that as well, we got the new TVP pint glass. We should check out at our store, which is linked in the top of the description below, where we have got a hoodie and a football top with an away kit, which is white, and a home away kit, which is black, and a home kit that's white with our badge on it. If you want to check that out, supports us very, very well. Yeah, it's basically the only revenue we get from this, which is zero currently, because I'm the only person that's bought merch in the last 4 months. But yeah, let's wrap this up. Any final or leaving comments from you, Josh?
I just said at this current stage, I'm going to say Chelsea. I don't think we'll win the title. I can't say it's been both Liverpool and City, unless we can magically find. So I think if Reece James is out for a long time, which he will seem even on crutches at the end of the game, it's never a good sign. And Alonso and Azpilicueta or Alonso and Pulisic are just not anywhere near the we went from Reece James and Chilwell to Alonso and Pulisic last Azpilicueta. It's too much of a drop off. And I think there's too many issues with injuries and all. But as long as we say finish top three, try and end the season on a high, and try and push in the Champions League and the FA Cup, then I'm as happy as I can be. But it's annoying that our seasons fell apart, even though yes, part of it was our own fault, because before the COVID issues came, Chelsea were starting to slip up a wee bit, but I don't think we would have been this bad if we didn't have these issues, and I think things would have turned. But it's on a positive note, good to see Lukaku back. He's definitely looking like the striker that we sent. Bullies defender, Moutinho tried to bully him, and he couldn't bully him, so he said to go for a wee cry on the ground, and it didn't work out very well for him. So if Lukaku keeps that form up, I'm very glad.
Any passing comments to finish off, Ben?
Yes.
Taking some time there.
I think. I mean, I'm not going to say I've not. It's classic after you've lost a match or that you've drawn a match after a late equaliser or something like that, where everything's doomed, because Chelsea season is not over. You've got Champions League, League Cup, FA Cup. You're 8 points behind. City have overturned an 8-point deficit before, with less games left. So, I'm not having this season's over sensationalist stuff. That's no.
Yeah, I think I do completely agree with you. This is more for the clickbait title, realistically.
Yeah,
which is I'm trying to get better at clickbaiting everyone into watching our videos.
Jeez.
Yay! With is everything corrupt?
Yeah. But yeah, no, it's yeah. You're but next month is key, obviously, for Chelsea. But yeah, Arsenal, it will be more difficult than people think.
If Arsenal get a result on Sunday and we win, as you said, it's definitely back on.
Yeah, so it's one win. What we lose one, you win one. It's it's one of those. Yeah, exactly.
Well, thank you very much, guys, for watching. If you did enjoy this short and sweet podcast, make sure you do hit a like. Greatly appreciate it. But hit a dislike. I don't care. Just want some interaction. It'd be lovely. If you have anything that you agree with, you disagree with during this podcast, do let us know in the comments below. I know no one will, but I'm just saying it anyway. And we may see you on New Year's Day for a New Year's special. Maybe. Well, anyway,
it's looking
positive. It's looking positive.
Yeah. It's looking more likely than not.
You will see two faces that I'm sure you guys know very, very well, hopefully, on it. We tried to get them on for the Christmas special, but that didn't happen, clearly. If you didn't check out our last 2-hour-long Christmas special that went on, which it was pretty good actually. You saw a fresh face in there, which you've never seen before. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you on Saturday for New Year's Day.